Hey, Lautaro, how's it going, my man? This is Ryan with TrendLizard.com. I got your email. I got a few stocks that I am analyzing for you per your request. We're taking a look at three guys. We're going to take a look at BlackRock, BLK, Barrick Gold, GOLD, and then British American Tobacco, BTI, in that order. And man, were these guys brutal. These were tough ones to look at. Took me a bunch of different charts to kind of break them down in a way that I feel even halfway comfortable, but they're tricky. So this is my best effort. I'll be interested to hear if you agree with this analysis or not. For anybody else who's watching this, basically all we're doing here is applying Elliott Wave Theory to individual stock charts and seeing what they're telling us, whether these trends are continuing or whether the trend is getting ready to reverse and whatever else. So we're just going to dive in and take a look, see what we can find. So BLK we have taken a look at before. It was incepted back in 1999 and has been in a massive uptrend from this scale, basically, when you look at it this way. Certainly there's been some major bumps along the way, but overall it has continued up from about $10 up to about 1,000. So it's had a pretty good run, currently trading at about 750. Now we look at this chart here, and I have this labeling. It basically has first wave, second wave, everything since then, a third wave. We have a large first wave, second wave, and then what looks like a shorter third and a quick fourth. Whether it's over or not, we'll take a look. But the initial thought may be, wow, that doesn't look super great, super clean. So let's go ahead and change the scale. We're going from the logarithmic scale you see here to a linear scale. And this is the linear scale. It puts things in quite a different perspective. It's that first and second wave back here. Obviously that changes things quite a bit. And then you have this first, second, and then it puts into better perspective how sharp and strong the advance off of the 2020 low was. And that is why I am calling it a third wave. It's a steeper move. It's clearly trendy. It looks like the third of a third wave. Obviously when that completed, it's undergone a major pullback. Price is now trying to recover. But this is the labeling that I have identified as the best fit at this point. So let's go ahead and zoom in and take a look here. We're basically taking a look just at the 5-wave advance. Let's see here. Excuse me. Just the advance off of the 2020 low. So here's that move. I think the last time we looked at this, we were looking for a bigger fifth wave. This did not end up being a very big fifth wave, but no matter how you want to slice it, no matter how you want to label it, I think it's pretty obvious at this point with the size of the pullback off of that late 2021 high. This move is over, no matter how you want to label it. Very comfortable calling it a trendy move. Also very comfortable calling it a completed move based on the size of this pullback. The pullback has retraced a little bit shy of 61.8% of this big up leg here. The pullback itself has been very sharp, had some sideways action, and now sharper movement to the upside. So let's go ahead and zoom in on this pullback, see if we can determine whether it is over or not. What I see here, again, is a sharp down move. I think you can label it as an ABC move. Hard to be super confident that it's not a trendy 5-wave decline. Could go either way. Now off of May's low, we have this sideways action and then sharper upside movement more recently. Now, in order for me to comfortably call this a low based on the price action we have on the chart, it basically requires ignoring this price action here, this sideways action. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you get this funky little ending diagonal for wave 5 and it's over, and if it was over, it probably ended in July, and this is the resumption of the uptrend. Not a huge fan of doing it. Basically, we have this sharp downside action, a recovery that started with more choppy upside behavior, and not yet do we have a clear trendy up leg. As trendy as this looks, I'd still like to see it become a trendy 5-wave move and be followed by a counter trend pullback. Just because there's so many things kind of working against it. I don't want to say against it, but like I said, you have this sharp downside action and choppy upside action. We need something on this chart that says, yep, this is the real deal. This is the start of a much larger up move. For me, that would be a trendy 5-wave move to the upside, counter trend pullback. Then you have something to buy into. Along the way, BLK needs to stay above 645 to remain bullish. And if it can get above 810, that's going to be bullish as well, because that's a 61.8% retracement of this down leg. Now, if we're being more honest, I think something like this, where you call this wave A and call all of this wave B to the upside, Makes more sense to me if we're trying to take every last bit of price action into account. But we'll see how it progresses. Obviously, this is impressive. But for me, if I'm going to trade something, I'm going to have something rock solid on the chart that I can work with. And that, for me, requires a trendy 5-wave up leg, because the way of this move started. We just can't ignore this and decide to blur our vision and close one eye just to justify buying something. We need actual justification. So in that respect, I want to see trendy upside movement before I would consider this a buy. Let's move on to gold, GOLD, Barrick Gold. Here's the chart. I think we took a look at this one before. Not positive. Let's just start from the beginning. Either way, it was incepted back in 1985. Had a very nice uptrend. Things have largely flattened out since, 96, decent long time ago. I have this as a 4th wave and then a 5th wave up into the 2008 high. Since then, things have continued sideways in this direction here. Like I say on many of my videos, just because something was incepted doesn't mean you're getting the entirety of a 5-wave pattern. I'm thinking this is a very sharp 3rd wave up, so we don't see the 1st and 2nd wave. Whatever the case may be, this looks like an important high. Price hasn't been able to best it in about 14 years. Price has moved down. If it was just retracing this up leg, what we see on the chart, it should have found support somewhere in this yellow area. So obviously this is a larger degree move to the downside. Now it's possible that this larger degree down move found a low in 2015, and this is the start of a new uptrend. So far it's been pretty choppy. It's a fairly tough sell to be convinced that this is the resumption of the uptrend, but let's go ahead and zoom in and take a look at it. So if we want to call this a trendy up move, this is really the only way I can find to do it. You got a 1st wave, 2nd wave that retraced a little bit more than 61.8%, but not the end of the world. Then you have a smaller degree 1st wave, and then another 2nd wave pullback that's retraced a little bit more than 61.8%. Also note that this 1st wave up here would have to be a leading diagonal because of the overlap that happens. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. I don't think this is something that I'm buying based on the clear trendy potential of this guy. I think if we were being honest, it would be a different labeling, but let's go ahead and run this out. If we look just at this action basically here and focus in on this pullback that's been in play here, the good news is it looks like a counter trend move. You have an A, 3-wave up for wave B, and then a C wave to the downside. Looks like it's in the 4th wave of a 5-wave decline for that C wave. So there's hope. I mean, the fact that this is a counter trend down move gives us hope that it could move back up to this high and beyond, regardless of how we want to label the larger recovery. Now, some things that need to happen before this becomes even a consideration of a buy would be a move above 1880. That would be a start to confirm that this down leg is over. But the more important level is 21.75. If price can get back above there, that would be a pretty solid indication that this entire 3-wave pullback is over, and that would set up a much larger up move. As is, it's like I said, it's a tough buy. We have to get pretty creative to call this entire recovery a trendy move. And then, as is, it's been trending down pretty substantially. So I think it has to do some work to confirm. If we're being more honest with ourselves, I think the recovery off the 2015 low looks more like a counter trend pattern. And this is how I would label it, A, B, C. This looks like a 3-wave move for wave A. And then we have A, B, C on the way down for wave B. So if it moves much below this yellow support area that's already moved below, if it continues down, I think we just got to assume that this is just a larger counter trend recovery that's likely not over. Doesn't mean it's a bad trade, but obviously it becomes more unpredictable if we're trying to trade counter trend moves because there are less rules to follow. You don't have to trace out clear 5-wave moves. You can do complex things. You can do triangles, diagonals, all kinds of funky stuff within a corrective pattern. Nevertheless, whatever we're looking at to the upside, if it can get above 21.75, probably be a pretty good buying opportunity on the way up. And if that's the case, if this really is a counter trend recovery, obviously that would mean the pullback that started back all the way back in 2008 is not over. Basically ABC, maybe an X wave up, whatever the case may be. We would just expect more sideways action on a very long-term time frame, making it a pretty tough purchase at this time. Again, you can trade it on a shorter time frame, but as is, doesn't look too great to me. Also not one that I am running out to buy at this time. So there is gold. Let us move now to BTI, British American Tobacco. Now this guy has been in a good run, obviously like the other ones. It's had some bumps along the way, but on a longer time frame, this is how I'm labeling it. All of this action is a first wave, second wave down. Then you only really have two decent pullbacks during this entire stretch. I'm calling those waves 2 and 4 of that larger third wave, and then a fourth wave pullback, basically since 2017, somewhere around there. And so far, it has found support in the yellow support area. That's a retracement of this large third wave advance. So let's go ahead and take a look at it in a little different light. And this is basically taking a look at the same price action, but on a linear scale. Gives a little bit more definition to this 5-wave advance off of the 2000 and low. Very clear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and also very clear, obviously, that 5-wave move completed and is undergoing correction. So similar to the last one, the question becomes, has this pullback completed and given way to the resumption of the uptrend, or will a larger correction form? Let's go ahead and zoom in. Here's the pullback if we want to call it over. Basically what we're doing is calling it an A, B with a very quick C, set a new low, but obviously a much smaller C than A wave. It's possible, something to consider. And then we look at the upside action to see if it can play as a trendy move, be a first wave, a second wave, and then a pretty time-consuming, not necessarily pretty third wave advance to the upside. Possible, not the cleanest thing. Generally fairly slow if it is a trendy move. Generally, we like to see trendy moves be pretty sharp. This one's taken its time and given us very lengthy corrections, but it's possible. If we zoom in on that 5-wave move, or the move that would need to be labeled as such if it is a 5-wave move, you can see the first wave, the second wave. Wave 1 within that larger third wave would have to be a leading diagonal, the way it's played out. And you have the second wave, third wave, and then a fourth wave. And this has found support so far where it should, if this is in fact the correct labeling. If it moves below 37 in any notable way, this whole thing kind of blows up, and this becomes a counter trend looking move, and becomes really hard to find a way to label it as a trendy move, is basically what I'm saying there. So there's potential. It's just not the cleanest thing I've ever seen. Not something that I look at the chart and say, hey, I got to go out and buy this guy. So if this recovery off the 2020 low is a counter trend move, as is possible if it moves down below 37, basically what we're saying is this pullback that started way up here back in 2017 is incomplete. And so a move below 37 would suggest that it's heading all the way back down towards the lows recorded in 2018, 2020, before this guy is in a position to head higher. So I think that's kind of the way you play it. You can look at this and say, okay, it can continue higher as long as it stays above 37. It starts moving below that level in any notable way. We're dealing with a counter trend move, something that's not predictable. Doesn't mean necessarily that it's over, but it means that it's unsustainable on any larger time frame. That would be my time to bail. So Lautaro, so many charts, so many different angles. Sorry about that. I wish it was cleaner. I think this is probably why you wanted me to look at them, because they are difficult. So hopefully this does provide some insight, and let me know. Let me know if there's anything else I can do for you. Have a great weekend. For everybody else, come visit us at TrendLizard.com. Take care now.